This torn on a vehicle in a while. On the one hand, the Canyon AT4 is a pretty refined and capable off-road companion that looks the part and drives better than anything else in its class. On the other hand, it has a physical key and no keyless entry and a wireless phone charger that's too small for phones. So does the good outweigh the bad? Let's find out. What's going on, everyone? Jax here, and today I'm with the 2022 GMC Canyon AT4 trim. As usual, let's start with the styling. When it comes to small pickup trucks, I think they kind of fall into two categories. You have the ones that sort of look like they could make a cameo appearance on Yellowstone, and nobody would really be offended by their presence.
That's right.
And then there are those that look like somebody accidentally stepped on a jumbo marshmallow, or at least the back half of one, and then they looked down and they thought, this could be a pickup truck. The AT4 definitely falls into the former category. In this cayenne red with the black accents, it looks phenomenal in my opinion. And the AT4 enhancements go a long way into making the sort of Canyon's, let's say, conservative styling look a lot more aggressive and purposeful. And it is purposeful. You get 31-inch Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack tires, an off-road suspension with a locking rear differential and a 2-speed transfer case, as well as hill descent control, sort of front and mid skid plates, and that transfer case is protected by its own sort of bash plate. So the AT4 is kind of properly armored up, which gives that black chrome grille and the red tow hooks, you know, a little bit more of an air of credibility. And we haven't even gotten to the best part yet. The powertrain is not the best part, but it is good. You get a 3.6-liter V6 making over 300 horsepower, and that's running through a solid 8-speed automatic transmission. If you want more torque and better fuel economy, then opt for the 2.8-liter Duramax diesel, making 181 horsepower, but a whopping 369 pound-feet of torque. The Canyon isn't overly fast, but it's certainly fast enough, all right? So the powertrain is solid in its field. All right, enough waiting around. Let's get to the best part of this truck.
Skip to the end.
Okay, yeah, so this is by far the best part of this truck, and by a long shot, okay? So the 3.6-liter V6, making like 308 horsepower, is torquey enough. It really moves this truck well, and the 8-speed automatic goes about its business with no complaints. It's very smooth. It generally knows what gear to be in. I have zero complaints about the powertrain of this truck. But the real win here is the suspension. It's fantastic for a light pickup, especially, and it must be noted, one with sort of off-road pretensions. I mean, this thing is spec'd to do some pretty serious off-roading. Yeah, this suspension strikes the perfect balance between comfort and control. We're gonna take it on the handling road real quick here so I can kind of show you what I mean, because On a truck like this, with these types of tires, it should not do well on the handling road. It should be upset by it. It should ride harshly. Now, I will say there's some road texture that comes through because these are large kind of off-road biased tires. But in terms of body control, that's where this thing just kills the competition. Okay, so we're on the handling road now, and there's sort of three aspects to this road, which is why I use it. The first stretch here is very bumpy, and it's meant to sort of upset cars that have poor body control or rough rides. Now, you do feel the sort of road imperfections here because of the tires, but the body control, the way that it goes over these bumps is so impressive for a truck like this. Then you come around this first bend, which is, fairly sharp, and there's a surprising lack of lean for a light-duty pickup. This isn't a sports car or anything. It's gonna understeer if you push it, but it doesn't ever seem to get flustered by this kind of pavement or these kinds of transitions. The larger sort of bumps on the back half of this road are nothing at all to this truck. In fact, we're coming up to the big bump here, and it's gonna handle it better than a lot of sports sedans. I mean, this is such a comfortable ride for a pickup truck. It's better than the Tacoma. It's light years ahead of the Ranger. And I will tell you, having just driven the Ford Maverick, which is a sort of car-based pickup, it's better than the Maverick. Another sort of surprising aspect of the driving characteristics is the steering. It's quick and pretty accurate. In fact, it's almost too quick. When I had it on the highway, it's a little nervous at highway speeds. It's like the polar opposite of the Tacoma steering. The Tacoma steering is almost absurdly slow, and this is almost like sports car quick. It's kind of weird, but it makes it feel very wieldy around town. You can just one hand the steering wheel, and it's not hard to drive at all. It feels kind of smaller and lighter than it actually is, and I appreciate that, except on the highway. Now, if I have one dynamic criticism, I'm not gonna praise this unabashedly, because there's one criticism I have. While the throttle pedal is easy to modulate and progressive, the brake pedal is not as good. It's firm, but I feel like it needs more initial bite. Now, if you slam on the brakes, which I actually did earlier today because someone cut me off and my little collision warning went off and I slammed on the brakes and this thing stopped and I was thrown forward, but it doesn't feel super confidence inspiring in day-to-day driving. It's a firm pedal, but it takes a fair amount of pressure to kind of bring it to a stop. And I don't think a lot of people will really like that. I think it feels like it doesn't stop as well as it does, because it does. But I think the brake pedal feel it's just a little off for me for some reason. But that's really my only dynamic complaint. This thing is incredible to drive. I love the way that this truck drives. And on that note, the driving position is good. I have plenty of space at 6.5 feet tall, so no complaints there. The seat is comfortable enough. I will say that I think it's slightly more comfortable than the seats in the Tacoma, but it's not as comfortable as Ford's seats in the Ranger, which are almost absurdly comfortable, especially for a truck that I didn't really like all that much, but the Ranger has some comfy seats. My only gripe about the driving position is that there is no dead pedal, because you have a foot activated, push button emergency brake, push pedal, whatever you want to call it, emergency brake. But we have one of those in our Suburban, and I feel like there's more space down there. It doesn't have a true dead pedal either, but I feel like there's more space. And there's not quite as much space. Now, I have big feet, size 14 feet, but I would appreciate it if there was maybe a ridge or something to put my foot on. The back seat was roomy enough for the girls. We had a very busy volleyball weekend, and I had to drive both girls in the back seat at times, and neither of them complained, and that's impressive because Ella's 6'1", so they had plenty of space in back. I think it's not quite as roomy as it could be, but this is not a big pickup truck, so no complaints there. In short, let me sum up by saying this. The ride and handling is by far the best thing about the GMC Canyon, even in AT4 trim. Now, I'm gonna go back to the criticisms, but I want you to know, fair is fair. This truck is fantastic to drive, and it is probably the best I've driven so far. Now, I haven't driven the new Frontier yet, so I'll reserve judgment for ultimate winner, but this drives better than the Tacoma, way better than the Ranger, way better than the Ranger, and it's even better than the Maverick. Now back to the other stuff. Yeah, okay, in here is where things get a little rocky for the Canyon. Get it?
You know, you've got a big mouth.
The interior materials are fine for the class, really. I mean, there's a fair amount of plastic in here, but when it comes to small light-duty pickups, which ones don't have a fair amount of plastic? The 8-inch infotainment screen is running GM's generally excellent system, and the AT4 trim comes with heated seats and a heated steering wheel, which is a nice addition. The Bose audio system is fine, and the seats have a sort of cool carbon fiber look trim to them that actually is kind of attractive and looks the part. But there are some obvious things missing, and kind of glaringly obvious in my opinion. First, there's no touch to lock or unlock the doors, as well as no push-button start. There's a physical key, which honestly, that seems kind of ridiculous in 2022. Especially at this truck's price, which we'll get to in a second. There's also a wireless phone charger that doesn't fit most current phones. If you have a larger iPhone, pretty much any iPhone, or a larger like Samsung Galaxy or something, it will not fit in the charger. There's a collision warning system, which is, you know, kind of expected, but there's no radar adaptive cruise control, another thing that seems a bit egregious at this price point. And from a look standpoint, while I find the AT4 to be a pretty handsome pickup truck, it has LED running lights, but it has incandescent headlights and taillights, which I just feel like these things are kind of left in the past. We need to see like a more premium look on trucks these days, especially when they're asking this kind of money. And you might say that you don't really care all that much about that sort of thing, or that they're not important to you, but for this truck's as-tested price of nearly $47,000, in my opinion, they kind of should be. This kind of puts the AT4 in a little bit of a weird or advantageous spot, depending on how you look at it. The all-new Frontier Pro 4X undercuts the AT4 by about $2,000 and is similarly equipped and brand new, okay? And then the Tacoma TRD Pro is about $3,000 more. So since people are currently financing cars for 1,000 months, that's not that big of a deal. And the Tacoma TRD Pro is about the same age, a bit older really than the GMC Canyon, but it's far more capable off-road than this truck. To compete with the Tacoma TRD Pro, you'd have to upgrade to the Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison, which is about $5,000 more than this truck as you see it here. Or maybe I have it all wrong. See, I told you, I was kind of torn on this one. The AT4 drives so well and is so easy to live with that you might be willing to forgive some of its lackluster qualities. It looks pretty great. It boasts enough off-road capability, probably for 99% of buyers, and it can be had in both short and long bed configurations. So should you buy a GMC Canyon in AT4 trim? Well, to be honest, this time I'm gonna leave that one up to you because it's your money and it's your truck. But I will say this, I strongly urge you to go take a test drive in one. Make sure you get behind the wheel of some of these light-duty pickups if that's what you're interested in. And that experience might be enough to tip the scales in the AT4's favor. If you ask me personally, I'm probably going Tacoma TRD Pro just because I'm like that. But tune in the next video when I'm going to have the new Frontier Pro 4X, and we'll see if my opinion changes. Guys, as always, thanks so much for watching, and thanks for being here. I know that, well, trucks in general tend to be somewhat of a divisive topic, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you value? What's most important to you? Is it sort of the capability? Are you willing to overlook the kind of anachronistic missing items that this truck has, or some of its we'll say Doug DeMuro style quirks and features? Or do you demand that for $47,000 that your pickup truck has a more luxurious vibe? I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. As always, ride safe, drive safe. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next video. Review. Video. I said video too many times. In any case, I'm out. Peace. Sometimes I wonder that when people pull up next to me and they see this giant camera hanging from the windshield on suction cups, if they're like, wow, that guy is super egotistical. They're not wrong, but I'm also filming a video.